Working abroad is not something new anymore, but arriving in a faraway land with no knowledge of the language and culture could mean endless challenges, even struggles. There are always the adventurous ones, who are brave enough to explore the unknown and prove that they can do more than getting by. Erik Nilsson is a journalist working for the China Daily, a main English language paper in China. 7 years ago, a job opportunity brought him to the other side of the world.
When I very first arrived in China, I didn't know anything, ni hao, xie xie, yi er san, the very basics, and I found that first period to be extraordinarily difficult. And I ended up in a lot of very confusing situations. Something as simple as buying bananas became an ordeal. However, I thought that Chinese was a very interesting language, so I decided to set about learning it generally through self-study. I didn't have the opportunity to study it in university. And I talked with a lot of cab drivers and ended up getting a tutor, so that by now I've passed the HSK level 4, and I hope to pass level 5 in 2013. The reasons I wanted to learn Chinese were many, but one definitely was I wanted to be able to communicate with the people here who don't speak English, the older generation, because they have an entirely different set of experiences than a lot of the young, white-collar Chinese friends that I've made who do speak English. And in that way, I was able to get to know these people, to communicate with them, and to make friends. And also for work, since I'm a journalist, well, it's quite integral that I be able to communicate with the people. And certainly I go to a lot of very remote areas, and there they generally don't even speak very good Mandarin, let alone any English, so I'd have no way to communicate with them otherwise. And I think Chinese is just an extraordinarily fascinating language that really colors the way that you think after you learn it, and it provides great insight into Chinese culture.
And now, he had books published in Chinese and can talk to people in their local tongue.
Language is a doorway to being able to really enter the culture and talk to the people, particularly those who don't speak English. And I also found it's a way to develop a rapport with people. So for example, I would regularly go to Sichuan after the earthquake. I went 11 times to cover the recovery after the 2008 earthquake. And I found, people would react differently to me if I spoke Putonghua and I said, I'm a China Daily journalist, my name is Erik, that kind of thing. If I said, 我是中国版的记者，我从美国来的, rather than so, if I would say it in like Sichuanhua, like 我是中国版的记者，我从美国来的, people would react very differently, and they were much more willing to really talk about their lives in a more in-depth way. And at the same time, it did afford the opportunity to create some very special and very close relationships. Our family, we call them, they're American families, are on the other side of the globe, and that's the hardest thing definitely about living in China. However, here, we do have a Chinese family. I have 2 Gandiet, and neither of them really speak English. One is from Hunan, and he works in the provincial information department. And we have a lot in common because we both love journalism, we both love China, we have a lot of other mutual interests. But if I didn't speak Chinese, we would not be able to have that relationship. And the other Gandiet is originally from Xi'an, and he is an artist in Beijing. Again, I would not be able to have such a close relationship with him if I didn't speak some Chinese. And it was with him actually that we ended up spent Chuxi, the Spring Festival Eve. There is no direct equivalent in the English language, and there is no cultural equivalent really within Western culture. The closest perhaps would be a godfather, but it is more than just somebody who's elderly and a really close friend. It really is a father figure, and somebody who really takes care of you and helps you, and you really truly come to love, not just friends. But when my first Gandia said, I would like to become your Gandia, I said, okay, what's a Gandia? and then it was explained to me. But yeah, it's really been a very, very special relationship. And
Having done well as a cultural ambassador,
daughter,
Erik has more hopes and dreams.
absolutely. I mean, however, I think that my China dream has changed over the time. I mean, the initial China dream was to explore this really, really interesting, diverse, culturally myriad country, and to really get to know its people who come from various backgrounds, and also to learn Chinese. At this point, I think that the new China dream, so to speak, would be for me to be able to make greater contributions to China's development. I hope to continue to travel and report, and particularly travel to more of China's most remote and a lot of the poorest areas, to really understand the problems there and be able to gain a deeper understanding of the solutions. In addition, I would also hope to expand my involvement as a volunteer. I've done a lot of volunteering with different groups, the survivors of the Sichuan earthquake, children of convicts, and my wife and I started a nonprofit that provides solar panels to schools without electricity in the nomadic. We also provide food, clothing. When their yaks died in a blizzard, we purchased more yaks for the school, and I really hope to be able to expand my involvement in these sorts of ways. In addition, I'm also right now applying to Chinese universities to get a master's in international development, because, like I said, with journalism, you know, the news is in China, but also China is the place to understand development. If you want to know more about development, there's not been any precedent for the rapid development that has taken place in China that has hoisted millions of people out of poverty faster than any force ever has in all of human history.
So is it correct to say that you would like to be part of the change that's happening in China right now?
I would very much hope to be a part of the change, but again, I would hope to work, you know, alongside Chinese people during this change, rather than, you know, to impose any of my own views or judgments on China. I think, you know, China is for Chinese people to judge, to evaluate, and you know, Chinese people should determine the fate of China. And I just hope that I could be help in that process.
What might have started as a dream of adventure is now a journey of fulfilling one's potential and giving back to society. And the more you look, we do become an agent of change, even in a foreign land.